would you like to discover how to reverse hair loss naturally? Saril Vasquez will tell us how to do it. And what's so special about Saril is she's a multi-certified functional practitioner that has the honor of coaching women on how to uncover their true root cause of hair loss and how to reverse it. So, Saril, tell us, how can entrepreneurial women reverse hair loss and what causes hair loss?
Heal Podcast with Lily Patrascu shares longevity and anti-aging techniques to stay young forever, increase energy, overcome addiction, and live your longest, best life ever. Shared by world's most innovative, alternative, and traditional health thought leaders, healers, and doctors. Discover quantum healing strategies to heal your mind, body, and soul.
That's also loaded. So many loaded questions there. Well, the first part of that question is, how can we reverse it? The second part is, what causes it? So I'll answer it backwards. What causes hair loss to thin is not what you would think. I know everyone's like, oh, it's genetics. My mom was bald and my dad is bald and I'm going to be bald. No, actually, genetics are a card we were dealt, but we don't necessarily have to express the genes we don't want to express that are less than favorable for us. Meaning that just because my dad had high blood pressure and he has high cholesterol doesn't mean that I have to have it at some point in my life. The same goes for hair loss. Okay? And so what influences whether or not that's going to happen actually is some of the choices that you're making in your life. Which you would say, what? That doesn't make any sense. How is that possible? Well, just like me eating a bunch of sugar is going to make me be more prone to type 2 diabetes, the same way me eating a bunch of sugar can actually make me more prone to hair loss and thinning. Having hidden triggers that affect my immune system are actually a big part of that as well. Most people don't realize that the pet dander in their home, or the dust that's hiding behind the couch, and the lack of good air quality in the home, the mold in the air conditioner, like all these different things are chronic triggers on our immune system, which can make us more susceptible to being inflamed, which can make us more susceptible to having hair loss and shedding. And by hair loss, I mean that progressive thinning as well as the shedding. So what you eat, what you breathe, what you put on your skin, all of those things, what you think, make or break, they can worsen or alleviate the situation with your hair.
Wow, that is so fascinating. And I'm looking at your hair and it looks really gorgeous. And I
this
think
is what it used to look like. And for those of your viewers who cannot see, I'm holding up a picture on my phone of what I used to look like in 2020. I had lost my curls. My hair was see-through, basically. It was thin all over. I had no density. And I even had balding in the crown. So the crown of my head was very, very visible. And there were patches that you could see if you, especially if you put your fingers up there, you would see. And so that was all reversed by the grace of God by focusing on reversing the damage and identifying what those triggers were for me. So that's, to answer your question, I guess that kind of answers both of the questions, like what causes it and how do you reverse that?
Thank you. So what I was getting at was that you have great hair. And I've noticed, for example, in the last few years, my hair kind of kept thinning, and it has been thinning for a really long time. And now, I mean, my hair is actually very thin. So I'm wondering, for women like me who are experiencing like a general gradual thinning of their hair, what can someone start to implement? Like, what's your blueprint they can implement so that they can start seeing again, like really gorgeous hair? Because you know what happens when I have great hair, I feel like a woman, like I feel gorgeous. And, and then when my hair looks, like lifeless and looks like it's thin and, I don't have bald patches, but, just not having that big mane of hair. And actually, I remember one instant where I went to the hairdresser. I was in Spain, and then the hairstylist, and that was actually only one hairstylist who said that, oh my God, poor you, look at how thin your hair is. And actually, before she said it, I didn't even notice. I just thought like it was normal. Okay. So what can someone like that do to start making a change and start seeing like this beautiful, flowing, glowing hair?
That's a great question. So I am offering a gift to your community. It's a book that I wrote. I think you need to read my book. So I'm offering it for free on my website, and we'll put that in the show notes, right? And so the book is going to teach you guys how to listen to your body so that you can be aware of what are those daily choices that is making it worse. So the goal here is to find out for Lily if every time she eats sugar, does she have pain in her scalp? Does she have uh, bloat in her stomach? Does her tongue get more white? Does she have tingling in her arm? Any kind of symptom, not just on your scalp, is a sign that you are creating an inflammatory event, which can lead to hair thinning that is spreading. So it could be the sugar, it could be gluten, it could be corn, it could be dairy, it could be rice. Those are the top five most inflammatory foods. So creating this awareness around I was feeling fine and then all of a sudden I don't feel that fine, and what changed. So to give you an example, my husband is from Lithuania, and so he moved to the States so we could be married. And one day he was sleeping and he cannot sleep with noise. It's horrible for him. Like it's like puts him in a stressful state. Whereas I grew up in New York City and I love listening to white noise so that I can drown out my thoughts. So when he was sleeping, I said, let me go ahead and turn on the air cleaner now that he's already sleeping, because it's going to help me go to sleep and it's going to clean the air. Well, it just so happened that I had not changed the filter in the air cleaner recently. And the minute that I did that, my heart starts racing and my husband starts snoring. So I said, something has changed. What changed? And the only thing that changed was turn on the air cleaner. That morning I woke up, my stomach was bloated, my hair was thinner. Okay. And so it was like overnight, I had exposed myself to more toxins, and I'm supposed to be detoxing while I sleep. And instead I am like
Inhaling.
inhaling way more toxicity than I should, right? And so that's just one example of what it means to turn on that antenna of like I was fine and now I'm not, and what could it have been? And so that's what the book is designed to teach you guys. And there are some trackers there, so you can put down what you ate, and then you can put down all the symptoms you got. Like your eye was twitching, you had undigested food in your stool, you had mucus in your stool, like all these different symptoms. We're definitely tracking your poop, because successful people track their poop and they look at for a clue, like, well, what does that mean? And in my overall picture of health. And we also track your hair, and so we can notice based on that how much you sleep, how much water you're drinking, where's the area of opportunity, what are the patterns that we're noticing, so at least you can identify what's making it worse. Now, if you can get into the habit of understanding what's making it worse and abstaining from that, you can put your body in a point where it's not expressing as many symptoms, and then it's going to have the space to heal itself, because you're not redoing the damage faster than your body has the opportunity to undo the damage. Another thing is period of fasting, periods of, let's say maybe 12 hours, 8 hours. It really just depends on your adrenals and how long can you go without feeling discomfort from fasting other than hunger. But periods of fasting are going to help you undo the damage as well, because every time that you eat, your gut has to make more decisions than your brain does in a lifetime. And so by not eating, you give your opportunity for your body to do the spring cleaning, so it can go ahead and reverse some of the damage that it wanted to get to, but it never got a chance to get to because you keep giving it food. And it's kind of like, oh, well, what is this? Is this vitamin A or vitamin B? And do I process this out, or do I bring this to the cells? And so there's a lot going on every time you eat. So that would be something else for you to do. If you try to elongate your fasting window, and you're noticing your hands and feet are cold, or you're getting shaky, or the hair thinning is getting worse, or you're getting bloated and your tongue is getting white, or something that is uncomfortable other than hunger, then you are not at that point where you can do that, and you need to work on your adrenals more before you can start elongating your fasting window. So that is something else that would help. So with those things, we're really looking at, like I said in the beginning, everything that you're breathing in, that you're eating, that you're thinking, because even your thoughts can contribute to your hair thinning. You know how they say, oh, it's stress. I think they use it as a blanket way too often. And it's not just stress. It's a lot more complicated than that. But the way that stress is implicated is it can trigger your stress hormones. So when I'm driving, if I feel I'm about to get into a car accident, without anyone touching me, I am immediately experiencing pain in my shoulders and in my arms. My hairs has stood up. My breathing has changed. And that was because of a thought. I was like, oh crap, this is dangerous. I think I'm going to get into a car accident. But because of that thought, I'm having pain. I'm having breathing changes. So it was just a thought. So the thoughts that we think can put into motion a cascade of events. So it can say, oh gosh, release cortisol, because if she needs to go run for her life, we need to make sure that the cortisol will elevate her blood sugar so that the sugar can go into her muscles so she has the energy to go run for her life. And so what happens is we do that more often than we should, because someone sneezes on us and we think we're gonna die, or because we keep fighting with our mom, or we're an outcast at work. For whatever reason, we're having these emotions that trigger that more often, and now we're having our blood sugar elevated more often than it should, and that's actually contributing to our gut being messed up, to our sex hormones not having what they need in order for the body to create them as often as needed. There's just a lot of things that get implicated in there that make us more susceptible to inflammation, which makes us more susceptible to hair loss and thinning. And so the inflammation can cause the blood flow to go away from the scalp and to your core and to your muscles. So even just, that cortisol being released can actually divert blood flow away from your hair. And then when it gets to the point where you're releasing your stress hormones so often that it affects your sex hormones, what's happening there is your thyroid is saying, like, I'm going to go on vacation. Like, she just does not need me, because she just keeps using the adrenals to release stress hormones. I mean, you cannot run from a bear and have an orgasm at the same time. I mean, it is just not possible. Like, we just got to focus on one thing or the other, right? And so the body's just kind of like, all right, well, we're always stressed out, so let's just pump out these stress hormones. And then the thyroid starts getting just more and more not used to releasing those healing hormones as often, and then we end up becoming subclinically hypothyroid. We have all these hypothyroid symptoms, but our labs look quote unquote normal. This is because we're releasing so many stress hormones.
Thank you. For those people that, let's say, have an overnight traumatic response where they have like a lot of hair fallout over a traumatic experience. Or for example, like last year, I remember that I had a very traumatic day, and then I had 5 white hairs the next day, and I don't have white hair. And luckily I don't see it now, but I think since then I've started to have, a couple of white hairs in my eyebrows as well. So what can someone do to reverse that process? Is there anything they can do once, let's say, they've had a traumatic experience and they've either had white hair overnight or white hair combined with hair loss? Is there anything they can do to empower themselves or just to reduce that stress so that the hair will start to grow again?
When it comes to having graying hair, it's usually a deficiency in copper and manganese. And so, but if you already just have a diet that's not that great, I don't necessarily know that just taking copper and manganese is going to resolve the issue. Like you have to support your body to a place where you are changing your habits and giving it more of the nutrition that it needs while supplementing with that. But at the same time, there's also gut healing that may need to take place. Like, you can have the best diet in the world, but if you don't have enough stomach acid, how are you going to get the nutrients out of that to get it bioavailable into your cells? You have the best diet in the world, but if you're chronically constipated, you could be reabsorbing the toxins that you're trying to poop out, which makes you a cesspool for disease. So I think it's common for us to think, give me the pill. For every ill, there's a pill. right? And we've been trained, we've been indoctrinated to think this is how it goes because of how the traditional medical industry is. But then we ask ourselves like, oh man, I took this pill, I took that pill, it didn't work, so the whole thing doesn't work. But because we don't have that foundation of understanding how the body's supposed to work and where it all goes wrong, which is what the book teaches, then we kind of find ourselves in these loops, these merry-go-rounds that we can't get off of because we keep doing the same behavior and then we don't get the result. So we try a different pill, but it's the same behavior and then we don't get the result. And it's because we keep throwing crap at the wall. So without having a very systemized approach, really looking at the different symptoms and which systems are they related to, right? There's the digestive system, there's the endocrine system, there's the nervous system. These are all systems and they have different set of symptoms that show that these systems need to be supported. So that's really foundational so that you can create the space where more supplements can work more easily, because you have created flow in the body again, where toxins are coming in, but they're coming out as quickly as they come in, or reasonably quick enough, so that you're not having all this free radical damage to your cells, which is literally aging you and your hair.
Thank you. Tell us more about what else can someone put in place to reverse hair loss naturally?
So I always teach my clients that there are 5 non-negotiables to reversing hair loss naturally. And so I was just talking about the different systems, right? So there is, of the 5, blood sugar balance. So if you're presenting with hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia, meaning you've been eating so much sugar that now when you eat sugar, your blood sugar doesn't go down as quickly, or maybe you're pre-diabetic, your A1C is, over 6 or over 5.7, 5.8, 5.6. And you're also dealing with, when you take too long between meals, your blood sugar is dipping so low, and then that's causing all these negative symptoms. You don't have that stability. And that lack of stability is creating an inflammatory experience for your body. And the more inflammation you have, if you're genetically prone to hair loss, then you will have that. So having that, and it's also a precursor to your hormones, blood sugar balance. Remember what I was telling you about cortisol raising the blood sugar, and that's a hormone. It's a stress hormone, but it's a hormone. And if you have too much cortisol, you're not going to have enough available for your body to make the sex hormone. So it's all implicated there, and it's very foundational to creating the environment that is conducive for hair growth. So blood sugar balance. Inflammation is another thing, right? So you want to do that in and of itself could be inflammatory, but you don't want to do anything that is going to create symptoms of pain, redness, swelling, burning. Those are all signs of inflammation. I had a client that eats sugar and they get pain on their scalp, sign of inflammation. Or maybe it looks different for them. They get numbness in their nerves. That's another sign, right? So anything that's causing an inflammatory situation in your body is going to make you less capable of prioritizing healthy hair growth. And that inflammation could also mean breathing in mold, or having Epstein-Barr virus that's replicating, and you're not supporting your immune system to make sure that it's not replicating that. So it's about like just supporting your immune system and reducing the behaviors that are going to trigger inflammation. So then there's also gut healing. Okay, so in order for someone to heal the gut, you want to increase your stomach acid. You want to make sure you're pooping. You want to make sure your gut lining isn't leaky. You want to make sure your gut microbiome has the right different types of bacteria. And you want to make sure you don't have an infection like H. pylori or Candida overgrowth or SIBO, or all these different infections that can happen in the gut. And so that is going to be important if you want to create an environment where you're eating food that your body can process, that can get to the blood, so that your hair has blood that is rich in nutrients and oxygen so it can grow hair. And then you also want to address sleep, Because while you're sleeping, you are detoxing. You are removing all the toxins that could be causing your lymphatic system, which is the last one, the circulation of your blood and lymph is the last one. But while you're sleeping, you want the lymphatic system in your brain, it's called the glymphatic system, to drain. And if you're not sleeping, then that's not draining, and you're creating a lot of stagnancy around your hair follicles, so that everything gets backed up, and then you're not having that flow of blood around your hair follicles, which is literally starving your hair follicles. And you're supposed to be detoxing while you're sleeping, not just your brain, but your whole body, your liver as well. And your liver detoxes your hormones. So it's also responsible for your circadian rhythm and like releasing the right hormones at the right time. And when you sleep, you should have beauty sleep. Like you should wake up and you should have lost weight. Your hair should be fuller. You shouldn't have dark circles under your eyes. I mean, that all of that should be happening. And so if that's not happening, then you are definitely not creating a space for your body to prioritize growing hair. And the last one I said was the circulation of the blood and lymph. So if you don't have blood, you don't have healing, like period. This is why people that have diabetes have amputations, because their blood becomes like lava, becomes very thick. It cannot flow into the extremities as well. And then what happens? Boom, bacteria shows up, gangrene, and it's spreading. You got to cut it off or you'll lose more of the tissue, all because the blood wasn't there to heal. And so it's critical to create an environment where you are not doing any behavior that is compromising how well the lymphatic system is flowing and how well the blood is circulating. And because without blood that is rich in nutrients and oxygen to the hair follicle, there's no hair. So those are the 5 non-negotiables. And so what that includes, it's like there are, food choices, daily rituals, different things that you can make a part of your life and your lifestyle so that you are in a place in your life where you're honoring all of those non-negotiables so that you can have a baseline for reversing the damage.
Thank you. Do you also recommend like massage on the hair with these like derma rollers and with particular oils?
I'm not a big fan of the derma rollers because they pull out a lot of hair. I do like derma stamping, but not for everyone. It can actually cause more damage if you do it too aggressively. There's really a technique, and I teach it in my course, but I don't have my average client doing it. There's very specific cases where I have them doing it, but you want the area to be pink. You don't want to cause any bleeding, and you want to leave space in between so that the healing factors can come onto the scene. And that is not addressing the root cause. And so you will just be chasing that forever and ever and ever, and just running yourself ragged with all of these superficial Band-Aid approaches that are not really addressing what needs to be addressed sooner than later, so you can like save the hair you have and get back some of the hair that you lost, right? So we don't want to waste time by just putting on a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. So does it have its place? Yeah, I can see it helping. I'd rather stamp than roll. And it's, very specific cases, like maybe in the temple or the part, but it really just depends on that person. And if that person has pudginess where they are feeling their temple and it feels kind of pudgy, or they're feeling their part and they're noticing like they can press down and there's an impression like there's something stuck there, that's not necessarily gonna really help as much. That's more of a lymphatic situation where we need to drain that out. So just stabbing yourself, it's bringing more blood flow, but is it getting the lymphatics out? You need to do both of those things at the same time. Yes, the blood flow and the lymph work in tandem. If you help one, you help the other. But in that situation, you need to very intentionally help both to get something more substantial for the amount of effort that you're putting in. So hopefully that, I know we don't have that much time together, but hopefully that gave you kind of like a big picture of where people keep missing the mark because they're just so obsessed with the hormones. It's the hormones, or give me the drugs, or it's like it's the genes, and they're completely missing the mark. If hormones were the answer to hair loss, then we would be taking all these drugs and they would work, but they don't work for a reason. Like they don't give us that long-lasting result with our hair because it's not about getting all the hormones in the right ranges. It's about creating that version of you where your body's like, okay, it's time to prioritize regrowing healthy hair.
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can connect with you.
Oh, so I have a couple of ways. My website is called bellechanics.com, Bellechanics. So what that means is a bellechanic is someone who masters their body mechanics to reveal their inner belle. So you want the glowing skin and the beautiful hair and the weight loss and all those things, and you want to become someone that can master their body mechanics. So bellechanics.com, I have a blog there, just some resources there and ways to work with me. And then I also have my Facebook group where I go in and I coach for free. About once a week, so people can ask me questions and I answer them. So that Facebook group is called Reversing Hair Loss Naturally. So they can, go on there and they could even message me there. I'm not going to be able to coach you through Messenger. I do have consulting calls for that, but I can definitely help people with, just some questions about some superficial questions. And then there's the book that I told you guys about. So bellechanics.com/book. So you guys can read the book. And there's even a secret special free offer at the end of that book. So if you read it and you go to the end, you'll see there's a way that you can meet with me for free if you do the assignment that's in the book. So those are a few ways. Oh, and there's a quiz. There's a quiz on my website. But that'll pop up when they go on there. So
thank you.
Follow me for more interviews with world's most innovative health change makers to live your healthiest life ever.